Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, how you doing today? Because boys and girls, it didn't take long. The Acolyte series is officially released on Disney+. Yes, the Disney Star Wars series that is going out there and changing the face of the Force, and they had so much fun talking about all the diversity that they had and the wonderful marketing that they had out there and what the show was going to be all about and what they were going to be talking about. And yes, it was more of the exact same kind of nonsense that you expect out of Disney, Star Wars, boys and girls, and well, just Disney as a whole overall. And as things have been going as of late, you know, it's one of them situations people go out there and there's still a lot of shills out there for the media, and they're out there, they're praising the Acolyte. They're telling things that it's so wonderful, that it's so great, that it's groundbreaking. Everybody should watch it. Everybody should see it. And, you know, that might be true. I've definitely heard that it's going to change the facet of Star Wars for all of the fans out there for a very long time. Can't wait to see what happens in episode 3 next week. But, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, the paying customer is the one who's the most important, right? They're the ones that pay the bills. They're the ones that subscribe to your streaming services. They're the ones that do all of those kind of things. They're the ones that buy your toys. They buy your merchandise. They buy your T-shirts. You know, they're the ones that go out there and, you know, word of mouth is what we always talk about. Word of mouth can a lot of times save a movie that we thought was otherwise headed for absolute disastrous dumpster fire. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, the fans are the most important things. The audience, the paying customers are the most important part. So no matter what the acolytes of the cult out there, no matter what the shills of the mainstream media say, those legacy folks out there, they're still trying to hold on to some kind of grasp of relevancy. At the end of the day, nobody trusts them anymore. That's why everybody comes to YouTube now, or Rumble, or all of your other favorite streaming platforms or video platforms out there to find people that you can trust and people that you can talk about. Because at the end of the day, boys and girls, the audience is what matters the most. Those are the people that pay the bills. Those are the people that return. Those are the people that have little children and pass on things like Star Wars generationally. Well, if it's any sign whatsoever, at least according to the audience, that is never going to happen with the Acolyte, boys and girls. Because, as you can see from the headline over here at our dear sweet friends at cosmicbook.news, the Acolyte Rotten Tomatoes, lowest Star Wars score on Disney Plus from fans. Yes, boys and girls, the likes of Boba Fett, and the likes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was really all it was the Reva show. By the way, Reva's lightsaber never funded. Yes, boys and girls, even with those abominations out there, the Acolyte is even worse than that, ladies and gentlemen. And the fans have spoken. And at the end of the day, those are the numbers that matter the most, boys and girls, because no matter how much of the access media blows smoke up your butt about how wonderful and groundbreaking it is. By the way, Rolling Stone, why'd you delete your article? No matter how much they do that, no matter how much praise these people that you've literally paid off to praise you, these sycophants out there, no matter how much you do that, at the end of the day, the audience is who shows up. And the audience is who decide whether something is successful or something that is not. And clearly, according to the fans anyway, as of right now, given we're only 2 episodes in, it might get better. I wouldn't hold my breath. The fans have decided that this show is a failure. And I'm sure as soon as we get the Nielsen numbers in, I'm sure as soon as we get the Samba numbers in, if Samba even posts them, I'm sure we'll find out that the audience score over at Rotten Tomatoes is not just a bunch of angry nerds out there review bombing things. No, it's going to be all of the general audience and anyone who is actually willing to give you a shot at this show, showing you how bad it really is. So that's what we're going to get into, boys and girls, because it's a glorious day. Praise be to the Lord, because once again, the fans have spoken and decided that Disney Star Wars is crap. And they're making their voices heard. And that's a beautiful thing. So, boys and girls, we're going to check out this article from cosmicbook.news, get into all of the juicy details, see exactly what they have to say, and see how the ratings compare to other abominations inside of the Disney Star Wars universe. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, or follow if you have not already, and leave us a comment down below. Are you watching The Acolyte? Do you consider Disney Star Wars canon? Do you think Star Wars is a dead brand? Let me know. Or if you enjoyed The Acolyte. All opinions are welcome here. As always, just be a grown adult and handle criticism and pushback. So check out what the negative reviews have to say, as the first 2 episodes are now available on Disney+. Shout out to Matt McGlone over at CosmicBook.news. The new Star Wars series, The Acolyte, is now streaming with the first 2 episodes on Disney+, and both the Rotten Tomatoes score and the audience scores are now available. With 63 reviews presently accounted for, the Rotten Tomatoes score stands at 88%. Now, that is their quote-unquote critic reviews, right? How do you become a critic on Rotten Tomatoes? Well, you either have to work for an established media organization, i.e. the New York Times, the LA Times, maybe the Inquirer, I don't know. Or if you've done a certain amount of reviews, television shows, or movies, you can apply. And especially if you're a minority, you get extra applications. And then you can become a Rotten Tomatoes critic and be part of their critic scores. Now, here's one of my favorite parts about that definition, right? We've got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes from all critics. It's actually an 89%, boys and girls. But now remember, what did I say about the qualifications for all critics, right? Basically, anybody with a blog that's a POC that's reviewed a movie before. Easy shills. These are the people that Disney gives early access. These are the people that allow these things to do it, right? Any idiot with a blog that's going to sign off on snorting the pixie dust and doing everything that Disney or the Walt Disney Company wants, then that's who they give that to. So that's where your all critics come from. That's where you get your 81 reviews. But here's the top critics. Now, the top critics actually have to work for an established legacy media organization, right? I.e. New York Times, a Hollywood Reporter, that kind of Variety, that kind of thing, right? Now, they generally have been a little more honest as of late, i.e. that Rolling Stone article that was deleted. Why'd you delete that, by the way? 71%. That's abysmal. That means the ones inside of the legacy trade organizations out there are no longer able to be completely and totally bought off anymore. And that is a fascinating change of things. But like I said, the shills are easy to buy. 89%, not a big deal. But a 71% for a Walt Disney Star Wars television series that apparently checks all of the check boxes? Methinks the mood may have changed in Disney Star Wars isn't so protected anymore. Now is it, ladies and gentlemen? So the series just went live within the hour, but fans are already disliking it, as the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is currently at a 48%. Like I said, has not changed. We're at 500 plus ratings now, boys and girls. 2.6 out of 5 rating. That is certified rotten. According to the fans, according to the audience, and at the end of the day, those are the people that matter. For comparison scores for the previous, let's look at this. The series just went live within an hour. Audience score is currently 48%. The lowest Star Wars on Disney+. It's also the 3rd lowest score from Star Wars fans overall, with only The Last Jedi at 41% and the 2008 Clone Wars 40% lower. And give it time. This number could still go lower as the series goes on. Check out what the negative reviews say below. So for a comparison for the scores of previous Star Wars, Ahsoka was at 89, a 69, giggity. Andor was 96, 86. Obi-Wan was 82, 62. Boba Fett was 66, 53. The Mandalorian, 90, 78. So literally the worst thing that they produced as far as the fans are concerned so far. The Rotten Tomatoes score has jumped to 94%, while the audience score has dropped to 45%. And as we showed over here, that is now back down to 89%. Guess you couldn't get enough of the shills out there to keep pushing you those 10 out of 10 ratings. Now could you, the Walt Disney Company? So literally first 2 episodes decent, then all downhill. An early reaction is offered that the first 2 episodes aren't all that bad, but the series really goes downhill with the episode 3 and kills Star Wars. My buddy saw the first 2 episodes at a fan screening Monday in Los Angeles, and that fits pretty much with what he told me. For Pride Month, to get fans excited, the Wrap also tweeted the Acolyte is arguably the gayest Star Wars yet. We're happy to report that the Acolyte is arguably the gayest Star Wars yet. Happy Pride Month. And as you saw one of our other videos where you talked about that, talking about calling it the gayest thing ever, you saw that literally come out of one of the Trade magazine Access Media guys' mouths, and of course Leslie Headland, former assistant to Harvey Weinstein, completely and totally bought off on it, sold off on it, and said yes, 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 of course. So the negative pullback, let's check out some of these wonderful reviews. The show pulls back from its more audacious possibilities in a way that suggests that heavy-handed of brand management, chipping away at anything that might rock the boat. Oh, it's stale because you have to meet all of the Disney checkboxes. That makes sense. This is the first Star Wars series to give off a Star Trek The Next Generation vibe. It doesn't help that the show's momentum can be slow, with too many dull exposition pit stops even as episodes clock in at a light 32 to 42 minutes. That's from the Seattle Times. Ladies and gentlemen, the bedrock, the almost heartbeat and soul of all things agenda-driven these days. Full of logical fallacies, hokey dialogue, and nonsensical plots. Acolyte feels entirely of a piece with the worst elements of the prequel trilogy, which many hardcore fans love to hate even 25 years later. That's from the USA Today. So it's not just that the audiences that hate this out there. The critics are roasting it as well, at least if you actually talk to the top critics, the ones that have worked at established media organizations. This is from the New York Times. Beneath the filler trappings, the visceral pull the Star Wars can summon in its best moments doesn't manifest itself. Characters speak in platitudes about loss, grief, loyalty, and revenge, and the cast mostly works down to the level of the dialogue. Wow. It's good to see another Star Wars project like Andor, integrate some of the franchise's fundamental assumptions. Entertainment-wise, though, the first of the Acolyte is unfortunately a lot closer to the Book of Boba Fett, and that's from Rolling Stone. And that's probably from their new modified article, not the one they originally deleted, that was absolutely roasting this thing. And it's just going to go on and on. Look at this one. The new Star Wars series movie benefits from its distinct action choreography, but it's undone by its storytelling. And what are one of the things we complained about during the trailers, right? It literally looks like it's just rip-offs from the Matrix's fight scenes. That's why we were making jokes about forced food, because then you've got Carrie-Anne Moss on top of it, who's a great actress and an awesome character in the Matrix movie. But literally, when you see her in that scene doing that, it literally looks like something straight out of one of the Matrix movies. It's absolutely insane. So let's finish off with the movie web here. Star Wars The Acolyte unfortunately lives up to the hype as a series that will divide fans. Problems lie in the plot's execution, overall vision of characters, Star Wars universe, and puzzling inconsistencies in the use of the Force. And then the Daily Beast, shills of all shills. The upteenth example of the fact that not all sagas need to go on indefinitely, especially not via formulaic prequels. And that's the Daily Beast. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the shills of the acolytes of the cult out there that are constantly pushing the agenda. So boys and girls, it's not just the audience that hates this. The critics are doing the best they can to be as politically nice and as cordial as they possibly can by not coming out and saying these things are just absolute disaster dumpster fires of piling heaps of smelly garbage that seems to be all that Disney Star Wars is able to produce these days. And color us shocked there. When you listen to the marketing, you listen to Leslie Headland talk about this, you listen to Kathleen Kennedy talk about this, what is it? It's all about their genitals. It's all about who they sleep with. It's not about Star Wars. It's not about respecting the lore. It's not about respecting the canon. It's not about introducing new and fascinating characters that can go on for a long time. No, it's girl boss nonsense. It's lesbian garbage. And that's all we're going to continue to see come out of Disney Star Wars. This is how they are going to go. And you know what? Like I said, boys and girls, it is a glorious day because the audience has spoken. 45%. Almost the lowest rated Star Wars project of all time. But guess what, boys and girls? It still has time. There's like another 6 episodes coming. It's only going to get worse. And I'm here for it because that's what they've done. They have turned a kid who was a Disney fanatic as a child into someone whose sole purpose on this platform, outside of roasting all of the rest of Hollywood, is to document the disastrous dumpster fire that is all things Disney. Because boys and girls, in the modern era, everything Disney touches turns to dust, and that's exactly what they've done with Star Wars. One of the most popular franchises, one of the most successful merchandises franchises of all time. And they have turned it into something that literally is bleeding money left and right. Disney Star Wars is dead. Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Leslie Headland have done it. And The Acolyte is just the latest example of that. And the fans have spoken. Disney Star Wars is dead, and you will continue to fail, and I'm here for it.